regular town board meeting for the town of Arundecoit, January 19th, 2021. This meeting is being conducted pursuant to Governor's Executive Order 202 of 2020, which provides for the conduct of public meetings to be held in a virtual setting due to the COVID pandemic. Would board members please join me in rising to recite the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Councilwoman Freeman.
Here.
Councilman Perticone.
Here.
Councilwoman Romeo.
Here.
Councilman Weiner.
Here.
Supervisor Seeley.
Here.
Attorney for the town.
Here.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome board members, welcome members of the public watching. It's good to see everyone in the new year. We did have one board meeting, organizational meeting. This is our first regular town board meeting for 2021. We have a relatively modest agenda for the evening, but it could go on for hours if we choose to. That's the power of the elected body that sits before you. So some good stuff on our agenda tonight. I will just point out we do have one public hearing tonight relating to a proposed local law to repeal Chapter 117 of the Code of the Town of Arundecoit relating to community residence facilities. This public hearing was called last month. We've done several public hearings in the COVID age in this virtual setting. I'm going to put before on the screen, share my screen, how you can participate in that public hearing if you wish. It's done via virtually. Who could share? 1 second. Okay, there it is. So as usual, as we've done, the public hearings are done by calling the number you see, 929-205-6099. There's a webinar ID, which is before you, 847-5152-2771, and then a password 01192021. When the public hearing comes up, attendees will be asked to raise their hand by pressing *9 with the public hearing. We will introduce the public hearing and provide an overview of what we intend to do to allow board members, the members of the public to participate. So leave that up there for a few more seconds. We'll flash this when the public hearing starts as well. And thank the public for their continued patience and cooperation to ensure we can have this public input while doing these virtual meetings. Okay. And now I've done it. I'll stop share. Okay. With that, we did not receive any public input relative to the, as stated, sent to supervisor@arundecoit.org. And with that, we can now move on to the financial report. Madam Comptroller.
Thank you. In this report, I am presenting preliminary look at the 2020 financial results for the town as of December 31st. The 2020 books will not close until the end of February to allow for receipt and processing of outstanding commitments and to account for and properly book the remaining revenue that is owed to the town. Again, in February and March town board meetings, I will present the most current 2020 preliminary results along with the respective 2021 monthly financial reports. At the June town board meeting, the town's auditors from Bonadeo Group will present highlights of the audited 2020 financial statements and audit report. The 2020 financial results as of December 31st. 100% of the year has elapsed and the town's total expenses are lower than budget at 95%, a sum of $35,081,000. Encumbrances are $1,273,000 and actual expenses total $33,809,000. The actual expenses alone equate to 91.7% of budget. Encumbrances remain sizable as departments are committed to services, supplies, and commodities for 2020. The general fund expenses are below budget at 95.6% or $21,050,000. The actual expenditures are 91.8% of budget or $20,204,000. Well, 3.8% is due to encumbrances of $847,000. Included in the general fund encumbrances is $277,000 for police and animal control vehicles and sidewalk plowing equipment. Overall, the expenses in the highway funds are below budget at 93.4%, a total of approximately $5.1 million. The costs in these funds result from considerable expenses and encumbrances for salt, gas, and paving as anticipated. The library expenditures are favorable to budget at 91.5%, a preliminary total of $2,481,000. Expenses in the sewer fund of $4,072,000 are below budget at 97%. The stormwater drainage expenses are approximately 98% of budget, a total of $1,233,000, and includes a Vector truck purchase of $386,000. Regarding the entire town, revenue and appropriated fund balance of $34,200,000 or 94.7% has been documented to date. The general fund has received revenue of $20,196,000 or 92.9% of budget. Real estate tax of $11,185,000 has been collected. 101% of the payment in lieu of revenue of almost $261,000 has been received. 8 months of sales tax revenue in the amount of $3,097,000 or 59.8% of budget, and 45.5% or $341,000 of franchise cable TV revenue has been collected. Also included in the general fund and the other sources of revenue is an AIM-related payment of $613,000 and CARES Act reimbursement from Monroe County in the amount of $1,205,000 for COVID-19 related expenses. At month end, the library has confirmed revenue of $2,640,000, 97.7%, and includes $33,000 CARES Act funding reimbursement from Monroe County. 96.3% or $5,234,000 of revenue has been recorded by the highway funds. 100% of the sewer fund or $4,156,000 has been verified. The stormwater drainage has received 101% of its budgeted revenue of $849,000. This concludes the first preliminary financial report for December 2020.
Board members have any questions for the comptroller? I'll just note, Diana did a nice job in providing a kind of a thorough description of that. And, you know, me as supervisor, I try to give some high level deductions from that. If you look at simple general fund revenue and expenditure, and general fund is what obviously we're most concerned about. It's our largest fund. It's most dependent on revenues, et cetera. So it can fluctuate when we have downturns like this, or economic hardship like during the COVID pandemic. But, you know, right now, available balance for general fund is about 957. There's some encumbrances, 846. So let's just say those available balances, that could change. But, you know, that's relatively stable and probably won't, you know, be reduced down too much. Diana, shake your head no if that's wrong, but I think so. So you feel pretty comfortable about that available balance number. If you look on the revenue side, you know, right now the balance to be received for general fund is about 1.547 million. However, and that's bad, right? Right now, standing in at this moment in time, that's bad. But if you look at sales tax, we still have 4 months of outstanding sales tax receipts, as Diana said. You know, the budgeted balance of that is about 2.083 million, so 2.1. We don't think we're going to get that high, but, you know, conservatively, 1.6 to 1.8 million, maybe higher. I don't think it'll go lower than 1.6 because we already know what's in for those first 3 months. You also have to take into effect we still have 3 months of mortgage tax to be received. As of 9 months, we already were at budget with mortgage tax revenue. We have cable franchise, which even though it's coming in under budget, still have half of that. So we could be on the plus side, on the revenue side, almost $1 million on the revenue side, general fund. If you combine that with the general fund expenditures, which are under balance, we probably are looking about 1.5 million to 2 million in the black, in the positive this year for, we don't say surplus because I don't think that's a good public finance word, but we're ending the year on a good note, and that's without. We really appreciate the CARES Act reimbursement from the county. We do, trust me, about 1.1, 1.2 million. But even without that, we would have ended the year favorably to budget. I think that's a very strong testament to Diana, her team, but all the department heads, to the board for monitoring this throughout the year. So this is good. We didn't, frankly, back in April, I don't think we imagined we could be here. So I think this is positive news. So good job to our staff, Diana, all her team, and everyone else in the organization. Any further questions? Okay. I'll take a motion to accept the financial report.
Moved.
Mr. Romeo, in a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Weiner. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The report is accepted. Madam Clerk, minutes?
Approval of minutes, December 8, 2020, the workshop meeting.
Motion to approve.
Move.
In a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Any questions, comments, revisions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Minutes are approved.
December 15, 2020, the regular town board meeting.
Motion to approve.
Moved.
Thank you, Mr. Weiner. In a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Perticone. We're three motions in tonight, guys. Let's not get. Any questions, comments, revisions? I know you're looking at the minutes, but you should do that before the meeting. Any questions or comments, revisions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. We can go to items for board action. Madam Clerk.
Item number 2, resolution approving the hiring of an office account clerk in the Department of Public Works.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Weiner. Is Jason on, or is he still recovering from his surgery? Okay. So for these hires, I'll just ask the department head to provide an overview. So, Mr. Kiley, an explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The resolution before the board this evening would approve the onboarding of Miss Latasha Eldridge, a town resident who applied for the office account clerk position with the Department of Public Works. Ms. Eldridge comes to us with a vast wealth of experience in payables, receivables, and is currently a office manager for a local business. As a town resident, she interviewed very well with the interview committee consisting of myself, Deputy Commissioner McGee, and our senior dispatcher, Marissa Camus, and I'm highly recommending Ms. Elder to this position.
Thank you, Mr. Kiley. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 3, approving the permanent appointment of a part-time school traffic guard in the Arundecoy Police Department.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Perticone. Chief, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This vacancy occurred because of the recent retirement of one of our part-time crossing guards. This is a substitute position that we're filling. We're presenting before the board tonight, Mr. Raymond Enright. He comes highly recommended for this position from the unit, as well as the crossing guard coordinator who oversee the program. If the board does so approve, he will begin his training in the next couple of weeks to
Thank you, Chief. I think he actually cut out just when you were saying the gentleman's name. So this would approve Raymond Enright Jr., just to make that clear. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 4, authorizing a settlement and release agreement.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. I will explain, I'll ask Ms. Yorstad to fill in the gaps. We received a request from the owner of the mall portions of the former Medley Center for a contending that the town overbilled sewer charges for certain tax years. Under state law, that person is allowed to request a refund. The town board is allowed to grant a refund if they deem it appropriate. They can also sue us. The state law provides for us the ability to settle, and this would present the board with a settlement tonight. I want to just explain, and I'm going to kick it over to our assessor to explain kind of how we did this and how we calculate this, just to be transparent. You know, the owner really contended that we were billing the sewer charges based on a fully operational mall, and in certain years you could make that case. However, we derive our sewer charges that you find on your bill. Most homeowners are one unit, but large businesses can comprise several units. It's based on water consumption and the Monroe County water billings from 2 years prior to that. So it's a science. We're very deliberate about this, and I'll just ask Amy to walk us through kind of how we went about determining what the accurate number of billings should have been for those 4 years, and as thus what our settlement will be. Ms. Yorstad?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. So I did audit the years from 2016, 17, 18, 19, and 20. How I conducted the audit was I requested the water consumption numbers from the Monroe County Water Authority. I verified that the water readings were indeed billed correctly on the tax bills, which they were. The water readings are reflected on the tax bill in the special districts line, PW2OM gallons. And from the previous year, that is how, as the supervisor said, that's how the sewer district charge is calculated. I calculated each year based on the water consumption numbers what the sewer charge should be. It was incorrect in 4 of the 5 years. Some were over, some were under. Do you want me to get specific about which years were which?
I think you can just go over the aggregate number, the total number, Amy, over those 4 years.
Okay. So over the 5 years, it was determined that I'm not going to be able to find the total number. Hold on here. The total refund was to be $50,300.13. Over under for each year ranged. I don't know if I calculated the aggregate in total for all 5 of the years. I think I just have individual numbers.
That's fine.
Okay. Did you want me to discuss what we decided to do for the 1 year that there was a flood at the mall?
Yeah, I think that's fair, because I think it helped us finalize our settlement. So yeah, I think that's fair. Go ahead, Amy.
So there was one particular year, 2016, where the previous owner of the mall, there had been a flood in the property, and there was a very large amount of water that was lost from the property. It didn't actually enter into the sewer system. We took an average number from the following year, figuring that was probably what would have actually been used by the property during that time, to come up with the amount that we billed for 2016.
Thank you. Any questions for the assessor? And I will say, you know, the owner initially thought he was entitled to a lot more. My direction to the assessor was, I want our response to be airtight and 100% accurate. And this took a while because I don't think we've ever done something on this scale. But the good news is it also, I think, perhaps sets a, not a precedent, but it's somewhat of a precedent, but it gives us a comfort level if we need to do this again. I think we're better versed in the process. So it took probably our biggest consumer of water to do this, but glad. So I just wanted to commend our assessor as well as our town attorney for their help with this. You know, we never like giving away $50,000, which we're not. This is $50,000, frankly, we shouldn't have collected in the first place. So I'm glad we're getting it right and it's accurate and not based on a hunch or just a gut feeling of what we might settle upon. So thank you, Amy, for your hard work. Further questions or comments?
I just want to follow that up and thank you again, Amy, for your hard work, and thank you, Andrew. It's really important what Supervisor Seeley said. You know, we're tasked with the fiscal responsibility of the town, and this wasn't taken lightly, and I know a lot of hard work went into that formulating, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thank you, Kimmy. Any further questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 5, calling for a public hearing on the matter of granting a special use permit for 1825 East Ridge Road in an M manufacturing district.
Motion to adopt?
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Weiner. Carrie, explanation, please. Ms. Ivers?
Thank you. This is an application for special use permit for an existing structure, lower floor, currently vacant, retail office type space. Upper floor has existing sort of in progress residential unit. The new occupant, in order for them to legally occupy what we would deem a pre-existing non-conforming structure, does need a special use permit to have this mix of uses on a given lot. So the apartment unit upstairs combined with the retail space below. We've done similar things along East Ridge Road and a couple of other commercial development sites in other neighborhood locations. So this will set the public hearing for next month. And then we'll refer also to the planning board, and we'll refer to Monroe County Planning for their review as well.
Thank you, Ms. Ivers. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 6, declaring town board lead agency and adopting negative declaration pursuant to State Environmental Quality Review Act regarding a local law to amend Town Code Chapter 235, Article 4, relating to RR, R1, R2, R3 residential districts.
Motion to adopt?
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Thank you. Carrie, why don't, just for the purposes of continuity, why don't you just run us through, in your explanation, kind of the final form of the law and how we got here as well, in addition to explaining seeker, please.
Okay. First, do you want me to take up seeker first and then move on, or do you want me to talk about the local law itself first?
Why don't we talk about the local law in its final form first, then you can go over seeker. So we'll just,
Okay.
they're germane to both resolutions, but you can do them both in the explanation in this resolution, okay?
Okay, sounds good. So a few months ago, this board undertook the prospect of updating this article of our local zoning code or zoning chapter to do a couple of things, primarily to look at adding some conditional uses that aren't currently permitted anywhere in any residentially zoned area for RR, R1, R2, or R3. That would allow for adaptive reuse of buildings, the location of neighborhood or residential friendly nonprofit organizations. We had nothing in the code that spoke to the tiny house phenomenon, which is now reflected in the New York State Building Code, which had not been addressed prior. And in addition, wanting to look at the prospect of an accessory dwelling unit to accommodate folks that might need room for, relatives or family to accommodate. So we call that sort of that in-law accessory unit. In addition, the code had not been touched in quite some time. There was an opportunity to streamline and enhance sort of how things were described to help clarify the rules and regulations, and make it a little bit easier to understand and administer for everyday folks who've got to read it. So trying to make it a little bit more user-friendly. So that's really the high level. And if I've missed any of the major changes, certainly I'd invite the board members to let me know. That was really the primary thing, to clean things up, to make it a little bit more adapted to today's development needs as it relates to residential areas, and also to allow for uses that would make sense in a neighborhood setting, like a nonprofit, a daycare, those kinds of things. In the past, those kinds of uses needed a use variance, which is a very high bar. So this helps to provide a framework for that.
Yeah, and it's a special use permit is a permitted use. However, the town board reserves the right to determine if it's appropriate under the circumstances, correct?
Correct, correct.
We do them often for a whole host of things in C business districts and.
Yeah, and then manufacturing as well has a special use permit provision as well.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Oh, go ahead, Carrie. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say this just provides that same kind of structure for uses that are not they're outside the single family home, but might need warrant consideration.
Okay. Any questions on the proposed local law for Carrie?
No, this is a great improvement. Thanks for all your hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Carrie, anything to add on the seeker front?
So I'm just going to point out, so for seeker, this is a type 1 action under seeker. We don't see that too often. Type 1 here because it affects the types of uses that are permitted in a district that covers more than 25 acres. Normally when we're making adjustments to the zoning code or other provisions of town code, it's not altering the permitted uses, and it doesn't affect 25 acres. That in this case that was triggered. So we did a coordinated review. Any other interested or involved agencies were communicated with. We've received the go-ahead from the zoning board and the planning board. And so now with that coordinated review sort of circling back, the town board can, through this resolution, declare itself first lead agent. And then once with that declaration underway, make a determination of significance. Reviewed at the workshop, the part 2 and 3 for this action, identifying that the town is widely built out. So there's not like there's open swaths of land that would be wholesale changed, or the potential, context or character of our neighborhoods could be altered as a result. In addition, there are safeguards or additional levels of review associated with some of the uses that are not single family homes, so that site plan review would be required, and also permission and approval by this board would be warranted. So if something really didn't fit or didn't make sense for a site, there'd be provisions and safeguards to minimize or mitigate or reduce potential physical environmental impacts. A lot of the area, as we discussed, might be in an area designated by New York State as archaeologically sensitive. However, there's guidance from SHPO that states when an area has already been developed, that the likelihood of encountering such, conditions or things that would need to be protected is pretty limited. And if that were to be the case, there are provisions and steps that can be taken in those very rare occasions if they happen. So for those reasons, we're recommending a negative declaration for this action.
Thank you, Ms. Hivers. Any questions on the seeker resolution before us?
No questions, but I'll say that I teach this in a classroom at RIT. Seeker is very complicated even for graduate students. So I really appreciate, as Peter said, all the hard work to streamline this process and make it more user-friendly and understandable for our residents and development. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, no further questions. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? And the resolution is adopted.
Item number 7, adopting a local law to amend Town Code Chapter 235, Article 4, relating to RR, R1, R2, and R3.
Motion to adopt. Oh, excuse me. Motion to adopt?
Move.
In a second?
Second.
Thank you. As Ms. Ivers explained in our seeker resolution preceding this, this resolution would adopt a local law amending our town code as it relates to RR, R1, and R2, and R3 residential districts in our zoning code. A local law was introduced at our October 20th, 2020 board meeting. A public hearing was held November 17th, 2020. We also took time in the interim period between then and now to garner input from other interested stakeholders, those that are engaged on the planning and zoning side, particularly members of our planning and zoning boards, for their feedback as well. I feel we've incorporated a lot of that feedback into this, and I'm very happy with the finished product here, that it took a very wholesale look, deliberative look. Look, we're a town that is, as Ms. Ivers said, we're built out almost entirely. We're not going to have any large subdivisions coming our way. Perhaps a few former farmsteads, but nothing that might near some of our outer ring suburbs. I love to note that the town of Penfield is lovely, but we're night and day with them as they're looking to acquire large tracts of land just to stop development from happening. So we have a unique set of circumstances here in Arundecoit, and these amendments to the zoning code for residential really contemplate new development in those areas. New development could be a single-family home, but it takes certain the mindset that if you're building a new single-family home, you want that to perhaps mirror and not stand out from the rest of the existing home. So there's a provision that provides a setback differential not to exceed a certain level. If the homeowner does wish to exceed that, they are able to get a variance from the requisite board. They're entitled to do that, but also things such as tiny homes. This contemplates uses such as uses like childcare that might be more childcare centers that or not-for-profits that might be more conducive or fitting, just as fitting in a residential type neighborhood as it might be in a more commercial mixed-use type setting. So this really contemplates how we fill in those Swiss cheese holes throughout our town in a thoughtful manner. So thanks to Carrie. I joke Carrie did a very nice job with this, although Carrie loves doing this, so we shouldn't thank her too much. She should be thanking us, but we do thank you, Ms. Ivers, because this was a very long overdue, and I think it's a good update to our town code. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk, we can probably get through one or two more before the public hearing.
Okay, I'll read fast. Item number 8. Scheduling a public hearing to provide opportunity for public comment on Arundecoit's Community Development Block Grant Program.
Motion to adopt.
Move.
In a second.
Second.
Ms. Marsh, explanation, please.
Thank you. This resolution would call for a public hearing at next month's regular board meeting on February 16th to allow the public an opportunity to comment on the CDBG program for the upcoming year. The hearing is required by the town citizens participation plan, and the applications for the new grant year are scheduled to be released on January 28th.
Thank you. This is an extra hearing we hold to really enhance citizen participation in our Community Development Block Grant Program, which administers several hundred thousands of federal dollars every year. I will just note, this is somewhat timely, we have a new official town newspaper, the Daily Record, but also we're going to make a further concerted effort to readily make our public hearings, which already were available on the town website, but make them more readily available and prominent on the town website as well as through social media, just to ensure the public remains aware of these public hearings. Unfortunately, our previous town newspaper, we just weren't able to rely on, so we've gone with the Daily Record now for our posting of public hearings. So we will make a concerted effort outside of the required newspaper postings to ensure that the public is notified of these public hearings. But this one in particular will take place February 16, 2021, 7:35, most likely in a virtual setting. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Madam Clerk, we can call these only public hearing up.
Okay. Public hearing number 1 on the matter of adopting a local law to repeal Chapter 117 of the Town Code of Arundecoit relating to community residence facilities.
Motion to open public hearing.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Weiner. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the hearing is now open. I'm going to share one more time the how to participate screen, although I don't see any attendees in on the Zoom, but I'm going to post it. And here are, if you are paying attention at home and are watching, please use these digits. What I'll do now is, as you're looking at that, I'll explain the intent of this public hearing and the local law. Chapter 117 of the Arundecoit Town Code relates to community residence facilities. Often those are facilities which provide a community home type setting for people with intellectual disabilities, mental health illness, and other illnesses that the state might determine is appropriate for an integrated residential setting. Our current town code, as it exists, is not consistent with state law, or as the town attorney documented in a October 29th, 2020 memo to the town board, is largely inconsistent, if not preempted by state law, which provides a pretty thorough process by which these community residences can be sited and located. It has been the stated policy of the New York State Legislature, affirmed on numerous occasions, that localities are not to put up barriers towards these group homes being developed. It does provide, this is state law I'm referring to, it does provide the locality with options to review. It allows them to propose alternative sites if they feel there's too dense of a concentration of such community homes in one particular neighborhood. We found the town law to be both redundant with the existing state law and also conflicting, I think, with the state legislature's stated intent, which I frankly agree with. I think we should be doing everything we can to encourage integrated residential settings and living circumstances for all people in our community, all residents, all citizens. And I just really, in my opinion, and I'll reserve judgment for the rest of the board members, feel that this current town code perhaps sends the wrong message to those looking to locate and create those opportunities for people, our neighbors, who want to live in our community. So that's an explanation of the law. It's a simple repeal, and I stated the intent behind that. We still do not have anyone signed up as an attendee, and with that, I will, unless any board members have questions they want to put on record for the public hearing, questions for the town attorney, most appropriately. Hearing none, I will take a motion to close public hearing.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the hearing is now closed. Madam Clerk, item for board action 1A, please.
Adopting a local law to repeal Chapter 117 of the Code of the Town of Arundecoit relating to community resident facilities.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Okay, so this would adopt the proposed draft local law to repeal Chapter 117 of the Code of the Town of Arundecoit. I just also wanted to thank the board members for support on this. I think once we realized, I'm somewhat embarrassed because I probably at one point knew this was a provision of the town code, but it really didn't kind of click until we had a proposed community group home by the Arc of Monroe. And I think it really highlighted the inconsistencies with the town code to state law. I also want to thank, during that process where we interacted with the neighbors over in the Willowin Orchard Park neighborhood, we had a very good dialogue. And frankly, when the conversation came up about repealing this provision of town code, I didn't hear one person opposed to it. I think think residents understand what we're trying to do here and the message we want to send as a town. So I encourage a yes vote on this. Thank you to Mr. Dean for providing some context to this. And with that, any further questions, comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? And the local resolution is adopted. The local law is enacted. Madam Clerk.
Item number 9, authorizing adjustment of the mileage reimbursement rate for 2021 to 56 cents, consistent with the rate allowed by the U.S. Internal Revenue Service.
Motion to adopt.
Move.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. This is pretty self-explanatory. I will note, and if you have questions to the comptroller, by all means ask them. I will just note, we don't use mileage reimbursement often. We use our fleet for the most part, so this is not a widely utilized reimbursement, but it is appropriate to adjust it so it does reflect the federal allowance. But I just want to get on the record that we don't use this often. We do rely on our fleet of vehicles that we have to minimize such requests for reimbursements. Anyone have any questions for the comptroller? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 10, authorizing payment of a late entry fee to the Finger Lakes Municipal Health Insurance Trust.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
I'll take this, Madam Comptroller, because I don't want people to get the idea that it was you who are coercing us to spend this money. But 2 years ago, the board made the decision to enroll in the Finger Lakes Municipal Health Insurance Trust, which is a cooperative of really over a dozen municipalities in the greater Rochester area that collectively enroll in health insurance. We made the determination to do that because we felt it would provide for more stable health insurance rates and less fluctuation and lower ultimately. There is a late entrance fee. I always say this title of this resolution is misleading because we adopted it last year as well. The late entrance fee isn't any negligence of this town board. It's the cooperative, the trust was created a decade ago. At that point in time, the town elected not to join at that time. Any late entrants, which we are technically late, are required to pay a certain assessment. It's based on your previous year's premiums predating your enrollment in the plan. This would allocate from fund balance $199,987. Almost, it's $13 less than 200,000. For some reason I can't read that number, so I'm just going to $13 less than 200,000. But I will say that's a substantial total. But just last year, I don't know if it matches this, but we realized significant savings by being in the trust. And my expectation is in the coming years we will as well. A lot of people outside the trust were experiencing double-digit increases. We did not last year. It was 4%. So we were comfortable and felt comfortable, and I think this was the right decision. So it's a pill to swallow now, but in the long run, this is good for the town. Any questions or comments?
So just to be clear, Supervisor, this is not something that we'll pay on an annual basis. We are paid up and now we get to reap the benefits.
Thank you, Councilwoman Rowan. Yes, we paid the first half of the assessment last year, and this is the second half. And next year we will not be paying it. So Supervisor LaFountain in the town of Penfield, who is the treasurer of the trust, will not be sending me an invoice in 2022. Any questions, further questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 11, authorizing Chief of Police to participate in the Violent Criminal Apprehension Program.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. Chief, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The Violent Criminal Apprehension Program, or it's also known as VICAP, is a system behavior crime analysis tool that's structured to help address violent crimes that impact law enforcement. It enables law enforcement to collect, enter, and analyze our own crime information at a local level, but also allows us to partner with those other agencies at the federal level. We do this through a secured internet connection with the FBI's Criminal Justice Information Services. as well as the law enforcement enterprise portal. And it also allows us to create a relationship with the behavior analysis unit of the FBI. It'll be a wonderful tool for the agency if we are able to adopt this.
And Chief, just to confirm, this is at no cost to the town?
Correct. It is it's no cost to us.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted.
Item number 12, declaring certain office equipment as surplus property.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Kylie, an explanation, if you will.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This resolution would authorize the surplus of the contents of the former library on East Ridge Road, which was also the former temporary highway department after the fire of the fire of 16. That facility has been vacant since 2019. And as this board can see on Addenda A, there are a plethora of items within that building that would be surplus, and they would be sold to the highest bidder.
Thank you, Mr. Kylie. Any questions for the commissioner? It's the last it's closure with our former library, so selling it would be the ultimate closure. So if anyone out there wants a very a nice building with good bones and a lot of character, it's for sale. So come knocking. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 13, awarding bid for new 2020 model year Bobcat skid steer loader and the necessary budget transfer.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
Thank you. And a second.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Burke. I know our clerk loves reading these titles that have these vehicles in them. Mr. Kylie, an explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. As this title, to a certain degree, explained, we are surplusing our current skid steer, which is the Bobcat utilized for a variety of different functions within the Department of Public Works, and we are acquiring a new skid steer. The current skid steer is a 2012 with a trade-in value within this bid package of $34,000. The new 2020 model is $63,386.25. Thus, the trade-in value less the cost is a total cost of $29,386.25. As we move through the end of year closeout, and as the comptroller said within the financial statement meeting, we had identified several areas within the highway budget that were poised to be advantageous fiscally to the town, and as such now seek to utilize some of those funds, drawing from the highway fund balance to acquire this new piece. Lastly, we've talked through the years of the opportunity to trade in vehicles that still have value. We're now trading in, or poised to trade in with this board's action, a piece of equipment that's 8 years old for more than half of the cost of a new piece, which is brand new. And so that's where, with proper, dedication, and this board's certainly been very dedicated to the fact of flipping our current fleet to be able to fiscally, in the most advantageous scenario, purchase and acquire new vehicles while trading in vehicles that are gently used, so to speak, that still have significant value.
Thank you. Well put. And our goal ultimately is to get to a point in time where we're able to do this with even heavier, costlier vehicles. This is a good start. It's tough to flip a switch, so we're kind of flipping the switch here, and it's good we're doing these with these vehicles, and hopefully this can become our vehicle replacement policy in the out years. It takes an investment up front to start it, but once you get going, it's a good system to have. So good work on this, Bob. Glad we're able to make these investments. And how many is this now, Bob? Sidewalk plows? We have to 7?
So this is not a sidewalk plow, Supervisor. This is a skid steer. It could be utilized as a snow pusher, but ultimately this vehicle is out on the highway milling up small sections around catch basins in preparation for paving.
Sorry.
Last month, we purchased this 7 sidewalk plow. That's why.
You had me at Bobcat. Sorry about that. Okay. Strike that from the minutes, Madam Clerk. I got to see it in here, okay? Just kidding. Supervisor Sealy acknowledged his error to Commissioner Kylie. He's blushing. But any questions or comments?
Bob, this equipment ready? They have it?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir. It's in stock.
it's in stock. Okay. Thank
But
you.
not the sidewalk plow.
No, not the sidewalk plow.
I don't see this thing trying to plow a sidewalk now that I've said it needs.
You probably could try.
All right, let's get back our focus here. It's important business. Any further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 14, authorizing the calling of a public hearing in the matter of Consolidated Sewer District Extension for 688 Seneca Road.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Thank you. Deputy Commissioner McGee. Explanation?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This resolution will call for the public hearing for the extension of the Consolidated Sewer District to a newly constructed house located at 688 Seneca Road. This would call the public hearing at next month's board meeting, February 16th at 7:36.
Thanks, Ms. McGee. Has the house been constructed yet?
Believe it's under construction.
It's under construction. Okay, thank you. And this is also work that's being done on a roadway that's being, this will tie into the new, well, actually not ours, but there's significant work being done on that stretch of Seneca, correct?
Correct. This is also the same road that we will see a new water main this year.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 15, adopting final order extending the Consolidated Sewer District to homes along Bayshore Boulevard.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Deputy Commissioner McGee, we're finally here. Explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. As you know, through the past few months, we have walked the process of extending this sanitary sewer district to our newly constructed on Bayshore Boulevard, utilizing the READY funds at 93 cents to the dollar funding for a construction project that will take place in 2021. So this would order the district after the resolution was passed, and we have gone through the permissive referendum timeframe, and that concluded on January 10th. And so this would be the final order of the Consolidated Sewer District extension.
Thank you. And any time frame on when work would begin on the construction, Ms. McGee?
Yeah, we're working through the 90% submission with the design project. So we're looking right now to be out to bid in March.
Okay, so this won't be the final resolution. This will be the final hard resolution.
Right.
The easy part's spending the money, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, very nice job on this. This is we don't create sewer districts often, and probably now understand why. But I just want to point out that Ms. McGee and Mr. Kiley, but Ms. McGee particularly took the lead on this. A lot of engagement with the homeowners, and we're grateful that the state is paying for 95% of this, and the other 5% will be borne by the beneficiaries of the district. But I just want to point out this is not easy. There's a clear process prescribed by state law, but it's, one might argue, a cumbersome process, and it's difficult to navigate. And any hiccup along that road exposes the town to not be able to get to this end date. And our goal was to be able to construct this year. This is very quick turnaround to do something like this, and we're happy that we're here. This is good from a public health point of view. It's going to put people on the sewer district who have risk of flooding and are on septic right now, which is not a good combination. So they've been asking for this for years. It's a very good deal for these homeowners. I know they've experienced hardship, and this won't solve all the problems relative to the high water, but it will ensure that their sewer is more reliable and at a very good, I don't want to say good deal, that's poorly termed, but it's financially advantageous for both the town and the homeowners. So good job, Ms. McGee. Any questions or comments?
No, great job. It's a poster child project for real sustainability and resiliency in the community. So well done.
Very good. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Ms. McGee, you have your district. Okay.
Item number 16, authorizing the supervisor to enter into an extension of an agreement for sound and lighting services for town special events.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Hall, an explanation, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Supervisor. So this is the contract that we entered into in 2018 with DCM Productions for lighting and sound for special events. The original contract allowed us to extend for 1 3-year term. So this is our 1 3-year term. And in the event we are able to host these special events in 2021, we wanted to be prepared with this contract.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
I just want to say that I love your optimism, Christina, and hopefully that we're going to be there.
Very good. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 17, authorizing ordering of fitness equipment to be leased for the Arundecoy Community Center.
Motion to adopt.
Moved.
In a second.
Second.
Thank you. Katrina, explanation, please?
Sure, yes, thank you. So this resolution is to approve the payment via lease. So we're not actually entering into the lease as of yet, but this resolution is asking the town board to approve payment through a lease. And once the town board does approve that, we would be able to order the appropriate fitness equipment needed for the fitness center. And then in a few months, we would ask the board to approve entering into a specific lease with a specific company.
Thank you, Ms. Hall. And just a few underlying principles here. With the community center, building it is an expense, but also it needs to be equipped with fitness equipment conducive to a recreation center or that which is, people expect to have in a facility like this. We determined leasing was the most viable and fiscally responsible method for this. It was also recommended by our consultants at Ballard King. This will be a 4-year lease for this equipment. We had the option for 5 years, but given we're new to this, we didn't want to encumber ourselves to 5 years. 4 years was what we determined was best, even though it was just slightly nominally more expensive per year. I will just say this goes off the state contract. It does allow some flexibility in the instance that we determine perhaps a piece of equipment is not being used or we don't want. We can replace it with a similarly priced value equipment. So this is the model moving forward. This is going to be probably one of many resolutions we have leading up to the opening of the community center, which is slated to be finished in the early months of the summer, and likely the fitness center component will open up to residents in the late summer, probably after Labor Day. So we're excited. It's I encourage. We're going to start to get more up on the website with updates of what it looks like inside, and it'd be nice to envision equipment and those last components of all of this. So I'll also note that this was not a budgeted item for 2021, mainly because we won't have to start making lease payments until the end of the first year of the term of the lease. So that's why there's no line item appropriation attached to this. And as Katrina said, as we do with installment financing, there will be a subsequent process by which we secure leases, award a lessor, and then pass even another resolution to approve the financing. It's quite a process we go through. But nice job on this, Ms. Hall. She did a lot of due diligence, consulting with other municipalities, really looking around to see what the best model was. So I'm glad that we've had time to do this, and I'm glad we used that time valuably. Any further questions, comments? And I'll say Mr. Perticone, our fitness guru, has approved of all of these.
That stuff looks familiar.
No chin-up bars, though, John. We got to get a chin-up bar.
Okay, I don't use it much.
Okay. All right. Very good. Any no questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted. This concludes our body of work for tonight's regular town board meeting. I want to thank board members for their participation. Our next workshop meeting will take place via Zoom, Tuesday, February 9th of 2021 at 4 p.m. It's my full contention that our next regular town board meeting will definitely take place February 16th, 7 p.m. Unless something changes, it will be held via Zoom once more as we continue to endure the challenges of the pandemic. Please be safe, everyone. Continue to practice social distancing. Don't get complacent with the vaccine. The end is in sight, and we'll continue to get through this together. And with that, I will call a motion to adjourn.
Move.
In a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, board members.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, all.
Good night, everyone.
We hope you enjoyed this presentation of the Arundecoit Town Board on ICAT, Government Access.